ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So, Catherine, we need your report on your North Dakota trip. How was the chicken buffet?
We actually changed up the chicken buffet for a pizza place.
Okay. Always a good plan.
Which I thought was going to be almost like a Chuck E. Cheese type place with lots of arcade games and things. And so we thought it would appeal a great deal to the kids that we were working with, but not so much to all the parents. But it turned out that there really wasn't very much in the way of arcade stuff. And there was like a nice, a buffet that was what you would think of as a buffet where they had
variety of items.
They had a variety of pizzas, and then they had fried chicken, and then they had salad, and they had some sides that went with the fried chicken.
Excellent.
And they had dessert. And so you could do all those things. So that was better than the pizza idea.
So shout out the name of this place. Is it a North Dakota only spot, or is it a chain?
No, it's a chain called Pizza Ranch.
Thumbs up Pizza Ranch for knowing how to do a buffet.
That's
restored our faith in North Dakota.
So we survived. It was very tiring being in charge of all the meals. Not in charge of, but playing a role in all the meals and also the snacks. Because I just constantly felt like I had to be thinking about when the next meal was happening and were we going to get it and was everyone's order going to be correct, and it was stressful. I didn't go off duty until we were, getting in the bus to go home.
Wow.
So
you still had to give out snacks in the bus though, right?
Yeah. So on the bus on the way home, we had ordered sub sandwiches, and then I bought in advance a bunch of chips and apples and stuff. And so in the parking lot next to the bus, I created a buffet of my own with a box of apples, a box of chips, and then a couple of boxes of all the leftover snacks that they didn't eat during the week, like, applesauce, yogurt, cookies, just, cheese sticks, whatever I had was spread out there in the parking lot for people to take on the bus with them.
Well, that sounds very smart, to the point where people will say, that Catherine has good ideas. Let's have her do this next year too.
Now I have to ask you, are these school buses you're traveling on, or do you get like nice coach buses?
We get the coach bus that has a bathroom and TV screens and all that stuff. So
did the kids use the bathroom?
Yes. Yeah, we all use the bathroom because we don't stop too often. They do usually stop, even with the bathroom, they'll do a rest stop here and there. And we got a pretty new bus this time, and it had like bigger screens. And you know how usually they have like the airplane size screens and they're hanging down over a few seats. These had bigger screens, and they had, in order to make room for them, they cut out some of the overhead storage. So we felt that was not the best trade-off, because there were some seats that had no overhead storage at all. And then the ones that did have it, it was about 6 inches high. So that's not that helpful.
So useful.
Did it have electrical outlets? Because
yes, and every seat. So
Lovely.
That is a huge perk that we appreciate very much.
Yeah,
I was on a bus recently, and it had all these outlets and screens, and it was great. Air vents. It was like an airplane. Not that airplanes are great, but anyway.
Well, that sounds nice. And the drivers were okay. And the last time I went on a big trip with kids, the drivers drove so fast, I didn't think we were all going to get there in one piece.
The drivers are great. We always get the same drivers, and they know the kids, and they are super friendly, and they're fantastic. So great. We love our drivers.
Well, that makes things a lot easier when you're familiar. And
and usually it's when they have a team dinner, it's, all the kids, the coaches, the team parents, and the bus drivers.
Oh, nice.
So it's usually about 60 women and one, because we have a male bus driver and a female bus driver. So it's Henry and his 60 lady friends.
Well, glad everything worked out and you got everybody fed and there and back safely. Whatever happened in between does not need to be spoken of, but...
No.
But
I'm glad to be home.
Until luge camp.
Yes.
Well, we'll leave it at that for today and say hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I am Terri Morrow, and I'm not complaining about too much at the moment. With me are Nicole Eridix. How's it going for you, Nicole?
Hello. Good. Kind of. Just waiting on a phone call from the doctor.
Oh, that. And Catherine Haleko. How are you today, Catherine?
I'm doing pretty good because I'm not on a moving bus.
Yay! And just for the moment, nobody is saying, where are my snacks? Where is my sandwich? Is there only pizza here?
That's right. Right.
Today on the podcast, we are going to talk about fantasy fundraisers on our Friday speed round. We're going to shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we're going to have a discussion of our kids' talents and skills. That is skills with a Z, by the way, which is how we understand the kids say it. So, Nicole, what do you got to say about skills?
Well, this actually, for us, it all started years ago when we watched the movie Napoleon Dynamite.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if either of you have seen that movie, but at one point in the movie, Napoleon describes his skills. So he's got like nunchuck skills and he's got, some drawing skills. And anyway, he lists off all these skills and he goes, I got skills.
Mm-hmm.
So that word became a popular word in our family. And so now when our kids achieve something or have something that they do or a hobby or, something that's of interest to them, for example, lately it's been my son and his lizard exercising skills.
That is a niche specialty there.
It is. So we talk about his lizard skills.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, as we were talking about this yesterday, amongst the three of us, Catherine brought up a story that somebody had once told her that it's important for kids to have talents and skills and interests and hobbies, just to have something that they're good at. So it kind of reinforced our family emphasis on having skills. So I'm just wondering, do you agree with this advice that Catherine received, or do your kids have their own skills? How do you, nurture those skills in your kids if they do? Terri?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's hard sometimes, and especially when you're dealing with kids with special needs, sometimes their skills are out of the mainstream, shall we say, even more out of the mainstream than lizard massaging, although that's pretty out of the mainstream. But my son, for example, has just an uncanny skill with keys. He can recognize the shape of a key and know what car it goes to. He's now into reproducing other people's keychains. He looks at people's keys and he studies them, and then he goes on websites and he buys this, uncut version of the keys and he assembles it. So it's like a visual skill. It's a analytical to see what the differences are in things, and to, memory to recreate things. It's really astounding. And I just wish there was some use for it outside of his, personal obsessions, because it's really awesome that he can do that. He's always been able to do it since he was a little kid. He amazed people by looking at their keys and telling them what car they have and pretty much what year car it was. I think he remembers what cars he's seen in the parking lot, and then he knows that's what he has to draw from. So, we try to encourage him that is really awesome and that he's really good at that. But, it's not really something that you can... It's not, a traditional skill that somebody would have a use for, or that somebody would, appreciate outside of his family and friends. My daughter has had somewhat more mainstream skills. She bowled in high school. She's good at bowling. She played the trombone in the marching band. Trombone was never her strong suit, but she did that. That was something that was part of her identity for a while. But it's not really stuck, She stopped playing and hasn't really had that much opportunity to bowl. So I think it's important. I think my kids think it's important. I don't think we have done a good job of identifying them. I think we've tried, but we haven't quite hit it yet. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have done along those lines. Certainly, Catherine, your kids have found things that they are good at and are forming their identities around, I'm sure, in terms of skating and hockey and luge and those things.
Yeah,
jealous.
luge, man.
I mean, there's pluses and minuses, because once your kid builds their identity around something, then you have to keep supporting it, even if it means driving to North Dakota. So
Right. But to me, when this other person said this to me, it did kind of reinforce, like, are we, because I do sometimes wonder, like, are we crazy to allow this stuff and to support it and to say, yeah, we'll let you, miss school for a week and fly halfway across the country and, hurl yourself down an icy track. Like, that seems ridiculous. But on the other hand, this is something that he's discovering that he's good at.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a great feeling and such an important feeling, that to me, it does make up for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still question the sanity of all of this, but I think, not every kid is going to be a straight A student or even excel in one academic subject. And so there needs to be something. And maybe it is, like, I mean, for me, when I was a kid, it was academics. I was never good at anything physical, sports, anything to that at all. And, I could play music, but I knew that I wasn't super talented in that either. But knowing that there's something that you're learning how to master. And I think learning how to be good at something is a skill too.
Yeah.
And it teaches a lot of life lessons about practicing and persistence and, following things through.
Yeah, I always had writing. That was always my thing. From when I was a little kid, I have poems that I wrote when I was in kindergarten. And so I always knew I was good at that, and that it could be a job. And even when I was in school, writing papers was my thing, and pride in being able to write a paper that got a good grade at the last minute. So that was always a real strong thing. I mean, I also, like you, I had music, but I knew that music was never going to be, I knew there were people who were much better than me, and that I got a lot of where I was just because I was willing to do anything, try really hard. So that felt really good. And it's like, I don't think that I've done a good job with my kids in finding the thing that is their thing that they can then take forward into the world and have as a job and have as a career and a life's passion. That is so great to find. It is. I mean, I was lucky to find it. I am sure you guys were both lucky to find it. I know not everybody finds it. Talking about academics, this is another area where, as we have discussed before, making it all about getting good grades and taking things like shop and home ec and sometimes even art and music, anything that's not strictly academic, taking those things out of the schools and off the table is really limiting a lot of kids. Yes. Because you used to be able to say, well, you know what, I'm not so good at academics, but I can put a car engine together, or I can make something out of a block of wood. Our high school doesn't have that stuff anymore. I don't know what those kids go to the technical school, I guess. But, that's something that schools need to think about, is helping everybody find their thing. And it's not going to be math and English and history for everybody, no matter how much you want that to be the case. It just, brains aren't built that way.
Right.
And rant.
Well, I think for us, our kids didn't fall into it naturally. You were talking about spending the time to find out what the kids are interested in and what kind of skills they have.
Yeah.
That's quite a process. And it's time consuming and it's expensive. I mean, I can't tell you how many clubs and activities and odds and ends that my kids were in when they were younger. And I mean, partly in an effort to get them involved, but then also for us to be involved in the community. And if you're working full time, or if you have quite a few other responsibilities in your life, it's difficult to have that extra time to take your kids and try various things. But and then they surprise you too, like you said with your son and his keys. Sometimes they'll just pop up out of the blue and you're like, oh, okay. Like my daughter, she can hack into websites.
Wow.
Be good at that.
That is a good skill.
Like that. And that's something that we didn't teach her or take her to camp for.
That is a marketable skill right there.
It's kind of, and you can actually get a degree in it.
Of course, you could also get arrested, but still.
Yeah. Lots of different things. She would recover lost things for us.
There you go. There you go. She's got to be a white hat.
You hack into her brother's social media accounts, which was really helpful for us.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
No, she's we figured that out at a very early age, so it's kind of funny. So I think it's just about really, like you said, it's a lot of work to figure out where
It's a lot of trial and error,
Yeah.
and that takes time and that takes money, and it takes a willingness to allow them to quit things.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
That's right.
To be understanding when they say, you know what, I've tried it and it's not for me.
Yeah. And to know what the difference is between this is hard and I'm frustrated and so I want to quit,
Right.
or this is not for me and I want to quit. Because
Yeah.
there are some times where you want to make them keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And but they're going to come at it from the, hey, it's not my thing. So that's
Right.
hard as a parent to know whether that's just frustration or whether that's just truly lack of interest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we kind of tried to pick things. I mean, we like with our kids, they have interests that might be short-lived too. You have to recognize that
Yeah.
as well, that
Mhm.
this may not be something that lasts forever. And so in addition to that, we tried to expose them to skills that they could have for life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like my son plays guitar, my daughter plays tennis. So though it doesn't matter really what they do in the meantime, they can still have that and do that
Yeah.
as old right? So that was something else that we really thought about and considered.
Yeah. I'm thinking as you guys are talking about this stuff, I think it's also, from my point of view, sort of an inclusion issue. Because when you have kids with special needs, there's a limit on how many opportunities they're able to take part in.
Yeah.
There are still things that are just not available. There are groups that are just not going to be welcoming.
Mhm.
And you have therapist appointments. And, in special ed, I know there was a lot of talk against letting the kids join clubs, against letting the kids join groups. You couldn't be in the choir. You couldn't be in the band. That's still an issue in some schools. So you have your kids who need, to have the maximum amount of possible experiences get the least.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now that it's too late to do anything, should I have directed my advocacy in different directions? Should I have said,
Right. But there's only so
I don't
much you
care
can
so
do.
much about this. I want them to be in. I tried to force the club thing, and that just was always a non-starter. So that's too bad, and that's something that organizations need to think about their responsibility towards. We focus so much on school, but
Well, and providing different types of clubs. I mean, my daughter was never a reader, so all those reading clubs at school, they were lost.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If they had had a computer club or a computer hacking club,
Mhm.
she would have been there like every day and
That's
twice
so
on
cool.
Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's about providing unique things for kids that there's a school that I was reading about. I know the principal, and it's an elementary school, and every Thursday, I think they have like Club Thursday, and they'd set aside an hour, and every child in the school has an opportunity to go to a club, and they must offer like 40 different clubs.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking like knitting, like just random stuff, coloring, like all sorts of clubs across the board where kids can go in and out of these clubs and experience different things that they might have not known about.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great opportunity for kids that we just don't know what to do with.
Yeah. I know when my kids were in elementary school, a couple, like 3 years maybe, the school did something that was on Saturdays, and parents would teach classes and things that they were good at. And it always, I think, got a large number of kids. I did a writing class a couple of years, and the kids were just so excited about being in a creative writing class in elementary school. And I don't know, I think it stopped. I don't know if it was there not enough parents volunteering or what, but there should be more of that.
Yeah. I think at times that are accessible and easy and yeah, just the bottom line is that there needs to be some time put into it, and we don't always have that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Not all of our kids shine as a natural Einstein when they're two.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to find the thing they're good at if it's not music or it's not or
Right.
sports.
Yeah.
And then you get into, if they are good at it, you want them to be proud and you want them to have confidence, but you don't want them to be obnoxious.
Yeah. That's a difficult distinction for a
Right.
kid to, but for a lot of
Ah,
adults to
that was-
understand too, for that matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I guess that's the thing too, right? Is the obnoxious, show-offy kind of kids that really can be off-putting for your own child who's just getting into it, and it's intimidating. And I know it just comes with, as with most things related to parenting,
Yep.
it comes with its ups and downs.
And then, of course, there's also the risk of parents getting obnoxious when their kid is good at
Oh my
something
God.
and
Mhm.
making it part of their identity. And sometimes you can discourage your kid from doing something by getting too excited about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to be supportive and enabling, but not too involved, but involved enough.
You know, and I think the bottom line is that you just never know where their interest is going to take them.
That's right.
So do what you can, help them where you can.
Right. Be open to the journey.
One day they'll be attending Herp Fest 2017. Talk about this.
That name is just really unfortunate.
Oh boy,
our
Herp
My
Fest.
son is actually talking at a conference about his lizard experiences, and it's literally called Herp Fest.
That is so cool, though. I mean, aside from the name of the fest, that is cool that such a thing exists for lizard enthusiasts, and that your
Yeah.
son has found this skill that one wouldn't expect. I need to find the key fest for my guy. Maybe there is one. The key enthusiasts.
Right. Well, maybe that should be a fantasy school fundraiser.
Nice transition.
So for our speed round today, our special Friday speed round, the other day in a text thread with my two podcast pals here, I accidentally called the grocery store a grocery fair. And
You got
that kind of
excited.
got us thinking that schools should actually have grocery fairs in addition to book fairs.
Yes.
Because and then what else do you think maybe they could do? What could they sell that would make our lives easier and earn a few bucks for the school? So my mind goes to food right away. But
Yeah.
what about you, Terry?
Well, I have always, and this is a fantasy for me, though I'm sure they do it at some schools. I have always thought that schools should be in the business of selling all of the supplies you need at the beginning of a school year. Instead of
Yes.
giving you a list and making you go to Staples and search for everything, they just have I would pay a premium price for a packet specifically assembled for each teacher in the school. How is this not a thing?
That it is that exists, Terry.
Excellent.
And not only do they provide you with the school package at the beginning of the school year, they label everything for your kid.
That is awesome.
Your kid's name is on everything. Yes, you pay a little bit of a premium,
Yes.
but it
Oh,
just
but-
gets delivered to your child's desk on the first day of school.
Excellent. Excellent. Do they have something like that at your school, Catherine?
My kids' elementary school, 1 year. I swear it was only 1 year. We had the opportunity to do that, to order it in one big packet, and it was sitting on their desk when they got there. But I really think it only happened once, and I don't know why.
There must be some logistical reason for it, but it just seems like such a natural fundraiser and such a gift to parents, and also to make sure that that the kids get the right things.
Right, and the teachers can spell out exactly what
Yeah.
they want, because
Yeah.
we usually get a list that says, make sure you get Crayola crayons instead of this
Exactly.
other brand, and this way they could just
That would be so
specifically say.
wonderful. And I gotta think it could, they might maybe could get stores to donate some things. And it seems like it's such an obvious fundraiser, and I don't understand why it's not absolutely
I
everywhere.
think in our case, from my experience, there were a lot of parents who felt it was too much and that they could get things cheaper.
They are ruining it for everybody.
I
I
don't
will
think
pay for yours too.
buy-in.
I will pay for 2 children's and somebody else can get it free. Just do the work for me.
I know, right? Well, we were in a community that had a lot of families who, how do I say this? The moms had the privilege of staying at home through work, and so they like to shop
They
around.
didn't want to get outsourced.
So you put
basically.
those moms in charge of getting all the stuff for the fundraiser.
Right.
Here, you know what? Instead of going to get 1 notebook, go get 200.
Exactly.
Ay, ay,
So,
ay.
Yeah.
So what would you like to see, Catherine? Are you going to be recommending the grocery fair? Because I just imagined kids coming home with baskets of food instead of books.
Yeah, I mean, they do have like the market basket or whatever it's called, where you can order meals, and they have like the pizza fundraiser, and our school had a soup fundraiser where different restaurants and people and businesses in the community would make soup, and you could go and buy all kinds of little bits of soup, and that was nice.
That would be
I
lovely.
liked that.
I would go for that.
So anything that involves cooking my dinner for me, I'm there.
How about you, Nicole? What would you like to see?
Oh my gosh, it's hard because I have like a teacher hat and then I have a parent hat.
Well, give us from each side. Put your parent hat on first.
Put my parent hat on first. Anything that kind of, I guess like Catherine said, anything grocery related or school supply, clothing related, equipment related, if we could have that, or even like the gift of time, like if we could have like a
oh yes,
a personal shop, like maybe a services fair. We'll shop for you for half an hour, or we'll take your kid to the dentist, or we'll, I would pay for that.
Yeah.
You know what the other one I thought of is somehow either homework like just buy out. Or maybe like once a month there's homework night and everybody goes and does their homework, and they do like 2 weeks worth of homework at one
there you go.
Yeah.
I like
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
I would pay for that.
Yeah. Or I like the homework buyout option. Just not even have it.
There would be a run on those, boy. Like maybe sell a coupon for turn 1F into a C.
I think we're starting to get on shaky ground right now.
Now put on your teacher hat, Nicole, and smack me down.
Let's call it a grade fair.
There you go. Put in enough money, your kid will skate for a quarter.
And the money goes directly to the teachers.
To pay their happy hour bill.
Exactly.
Then it's called a bribery fair at that point.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, with all those ideas, there's bound to be something you could use, right?
I think so. We're performing a public service here.
That's right. And that'll be it for our Friday speed round, but you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday.
So now it's time we bring you some of the things that we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. Terri, what do you have for us?
Well, as I've mentioned, I've recently started doing the blog managing for Friendship Circle, but for long before that, I was somebody who helped them publicize their annual Great Bike giveaway. In the past, what this has been is they've made it possible for parents to pick an adaptive bike for their child with special needs and put a story online as to why the child needs it, and then people could vote on who would get bikes. And in this way, they were able to give a lot of bikes to kids who can't ride a regular bike and can't afford an adaptive bike under normal circumstances. And that's always been a really great, heartwarming thing to do. This year, they just started the next one. It just started now, so it's underway as you hear this podcast. And what they're doing, I think, is great. Instead of making it a contest, they're now doing it as crowdfunding. So instead of going on and looking at a kid who needs a bike and voting for them, you can actually donate money so that they get their bike. So that way, everybody can get a bike. It's not, who wins. So that's something. I'll have a link to it on our show notes. Please go take a look if you are a family who could use an adaptive bike for your kid. I think it will still be possible to register when you hear this podcast. If you would like to help a child get an adaptive bike, then you can go and donate some money just as you would with any other crowdfunding thing. And they've negotiated reduced prices for the bikes with the manufacturers, so it's definitely something that is attainable and a really easy way to do something very, very nice for a child and a family.
Oh, thank you. How about you, Catherine? What do you have?
I wanted to just mention my latest yoga app that I've been using. I had one that I loved, and it stopped being supported, and it
Aw.
kind of fell apart. Which, that's such a shame when that happens to your favorite apps.
Boo.
But this one is a pretty good substitute. It's called Yoga Studio, and you can get it for a lot of different platforms. And for iPhone, it costs about $4, and it comes with a lot of pre-made classes, which is what I'm usually looking for in a yoga app. Not everybody wants that, but that's what I want. And so it comes with collections, or you could put your own class together. But that's why I pay someone else to do that for me, because I don't know what I'm doing. So I have been using Yoga Studio, and it's working pretty well for me.
And I am going to talk about something that's the opposite of exercise and yoga, and it's food. And shout out a delivery service. We don't actually have this particular service in our community. We have something similar, but I see that GrubHub is quite popular in other communities. We use Grub to Go here in our community, and it's basically restaurant food delivered to your door.
Very nice.
Go online, you pick up,
Mhm.
find your restaurant, and you can order off their menu and have it delivered to you just like you were at their restaurant at the table.
Nice.
So yes, we use it a little too often, I think. But it's such a great service, and
Yeah.
nice to have. So that is my shout out today.
And now let's move on to our final segment today, where we're going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. I'm not going to talk about something on my site today. I'm going to talk about something I've put together on my Twitter feed, because I have felt the need from time to time to retreat to a corner of Twitter that is a little less loud, a place where I can look at cute animals and delicious food. So I've put together a Twitter list called Animals and Edibles. If you also feel a need, you can find this list that I've made. You can subscribe to it, or you can just go to it on the web and look at cute puppies and ridiculously extravagant food and lots of cheeseburgers and macaroni and cheese and grilled cheese. So sometimes you just need to look at that stuff to clear your head, So
Yes.
I will be sharing that on the notes. Nicole, what do you got?
Well, I have a post that's hot off the press.
Yeah. Excellent.
That it's been on my list of things to do. So I have one last thing to do. And it is a post that I did about inclusive education in high school, college, and beyond. So I'm talking about meeting learners' needs and providing interesting and engaging lessons for older students, not just young students. So that is my promotion today.
Excellent. What do you got, Catherine?
I just thought I'd mention a piece that I have on VeryWell about injury recovery for sports kids.
Wow.
My son banged up his hand the other day in hockey, and it turned out to be nothing serious. It wasn't broken or anything. And then we had a friend whose daughter has a concussion, and so she's going through that, which is just such a drag to recover from. So I have a piece on that. It's about physical recovery, but also, getting back into school and, sort of jumping back into academics, and also some of the sort of emotional fallout that can happen when you have an injury. So that's all included in that piece on VeryWell.
Great.
And that's it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter, where I am at About Family Fit. Nicole is Nicole Eridix, and Terri is Mamatude. You can also follow the podcast itself on Twitter, Roundabout Chat, and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram. Best of all, stop by our blog at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and I wish everyone a great week.